The weekly Industry Angel podcast hears from business leaders and entrepreneurs who share their stories and that all-important light bulb moment. This can inspire us all and maybe scratch that itch and kickstart that idea that keeps you awake at night. Welcome to episode 58 of the Industry Angel. Thanks for coming back and thanks for subscribing to the show. I don't know what you guys have been up to, but you've been sharing it. I emailed one of our past guests yesterday and I asked him, had he been sharing the show, and he hadn't. But there was literally hundreds and hundreds of downloads within a really short space of time. So you guys are wild. You're up to something. So thanks for that. Before I get on to today's guest, we have some presentation training that we're all invited to. Remember Dr. Simon Raybould from episode 45? Yeah, of course you do. He was excellent and you loved his presentation tips. Well, he's going to do a course, okay? One public course in the UK only this year, and we're invited, okay? All our listeners, all friends of, we're all invited. So I've asked Simon for a discount code for us, and we couldn't decide on an amount. So we had a hula hoop competition, and I rotated these hips for 13 seconds. So we get a whopping 13% off his half-day course. It's September, Friday the 15th, and I'd love to see you there. I've got some Industry Angel stickers to dish out as well. So really looking forward to being a bit of a meetup. It's the only public course Simon's doing, okay, this year. And it would be great to see you there. If you're in the north of England, it's in Durham. All you've got to do is go to presentationgenius.info/Durham and you can use the code A13I. I've put a little bit of a blog article on industryangel.com if you can't remember that. So, and there's a link there. So I'd love to see you there. Right, on to today's guest. Today we have a friend of mine who I struggle to label, pigeonhole, compartmentalise. She's just an absolute business rock star. Welcome to the Industry Angel, Danusha Melina Durban.
Hi. It's lovely to be here.
How was that intro for you?
It was wonderful.
See, do you know what it is, Mrs.? I struggle with you because I could shoot a few things out there that would set the scenes. You know, business consultant. I'll try it. You're a business consultant. You work with corporates, entrepreneurs on a global scale, working on delivering bespoke programs and directions that solve problems. Now, you see, that just sounds like many other consultants out there. And I don't think that sums you up. So can I read a few lines of your website for you?
Oh, yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
Right. This is the best bit. Danusha is not for the faint-hearted, snivelling, small-game people who play it safe. Not for the khaki slacks and slack-jawed gopher who's fine with being fine. I'm a big results consultant, and don't say I didn't warn you. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's the Danusha I know.
That's hilarious, isn't it?
Now, I don't want to steal your thunder, but on top of like kicking ass, right, in the business world, you write for TV, you're writing a book, and you're a mother of 10. Yeah. Now, where on earth should we start with this?
Wherever you'd like it.
So you've seen, you've seen many businesses across the years, haven't you? So let's wind it back. How did you get into business? Because weren't you an academic?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, exactly. So I went to university with 4 young children and did a really weird thing, which was, go and get my first degree. I was very young. So I had my first child at 17. By the time I was 22, I had 4 and then did uni. So I'm somewhat of a countercurrent person. And I actually chose, you can hear I'm from the south, but I chose deliberately to go north and go to Lancaster. And stayed in the north for 10 years and became an academic. So I was at Lancaster, Business School, Manchester and Teesside. So I was in Teesside 4 or 5 years teaching and writing and publishing. So yeah, my specialism's organisational behaviour and development. So basically that's a hell of a mouthful. I mean, can you imagine? it's really about how people behave in organizations. That's pretty obvious. And how we structure, large corporations. So I was a kind of very much a driven career academic, and I just realised I was pretty well at the ceiling at the top, and realised that I just knew that I needed to get out into business. And I was actually working with a lot of chief execs, and one day one of them came to me and said, "What are you doing here? You've got social skills. You can look people in the eye. You don't wear really weird jackets, and you're not a man. So, and you're not bald. So like, what are you doing here? Surely you're earning about as much as you can here." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm at the top." And it just kind of percolated into my brain. I didn't do it immediately. I was on maternity leave with my sixth child. I had by then was having this sixth child, and I actually took my first maternity leave and pondered, mulled, kind of thought, what the hell am I doing? And realised, while I'm on maternity leave, let's set a consultancy up. And bam, that's what I did. And really it was, right off the bat, it got going really quickly. And I was thrilled. And I kept the two parallel for a year, and then did the dastardly deed of throwing my tenure in, which is pretty unheard of, and became a consultant rather than, an academic. And I adore it. Can't take the academic out of me, I'm afraid. I'm still, very much a models person, which serves my clients well. So yeah.
So did you do your PhD as well?
Oh, I did my PhD. That is a long story. If you've ever,
is it a long story?
Oh my God, no! If you've ever, anyone that's ever done a PhD, it's like this roller coaster ride of like nothing else. So we could do a whole half an hour on the PhD story. And in fact, one of the things that I did was I became. I don't know how you get this out of people. I really don't know. But anyway, you're doing well. I became the world's leading expert on sex shops. And no,
I did not see this coming.
No, you didn't see this coming, did you? I was the only academic in the UK to notice, well, in fact, the world, to notice that nobody was researching on the inner machinations of the sex shop industry, which of course is a huge industry globally. And so I became that woman that researched sex shops, and I mean around the world. So I worked in them. I became an Ann Summers girl with a new name at night. I unpacked my kit. I was very successful at it, and I wrote about it. And the area is hedonistic consumption. And I used to go around on the lecture circuit, filling rooms, talking about what happens in sex shops around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So I built my career on leadership models, theories, but also by noticing a niche that nobody else had noticed. And the reason actually was I was supervising a student's PhD on the pink pound, and I knew nothing about the pink pound. I'm not a male and I'm not gay. So I had to really immerse myself in that, in what I could. And he offered to take me to Erotica and down in London. And I said, wow, this is a bit of, this is like, not my normal kind of supervision. And I said, okay, we'll go away for the weekend. And we did. And what I noticed there was a female-only, women-only sex shop was selling there. And I thought, well, now this is an interesting proposition. I wonder who's written about women-only sex shops. Nobody had. I got lots of funding, and it was a fascinating piece of research, and pretty well skyrocketed my career. So it's good to find a niche. There's the lesson. Good to find a niche and exploit it. Yeah.
So you've got material out there on the internet that we could look at all about this research?
Yeah, there is. It's lots of publications on this. Yeah, but they're terribly dull. Who wants to read about hedonistic consumption? What people really wanted to know was the gossip. Why all these academics used to flock into the rooms where I was talking was they wanted to know through me. So what have you found out? Tell us the gory details, because I was basically analysing the differences between what I'll call heterosexual sex shops, kind of male-only sex shops, so backstreet sex shops, and female-only. And there are some significant differences. And obviously it was also at the time just as Ann Summers hit the high street. And that was brilliant. So that's what they really wanted to know. What happens in these places? What have you learned? Tell us some of the details. So yeah, that's.
Do you really think you're going to get away with that?
What do you mean? You mean you really want some of the details?
Yes, of course. Well, all our listeners have just stopped what they're doing. They've just cranked the volume up in the car, or they've stopped running. They've got the earbuds pressed to the ear, and they're like, "Go on." Mm-hmm.
Well, the funny thing is that if I told some of the chairmen, chairwomen, the chief execs that I go and work with, if I actually introed with, now listen, I probably still am, the world's leading expert on sex shops, and I've got 10 kids. I think there's a link there, by the way, but let's not, kind of stick on that one.
All in the name of research, I get it.
Yes. They'd be terribly shocked. So not sure what I'm doing for my career here, but I will tell you some of the details. I think one of the funniest times was I was working in and in this particular sex shop, I was working in an overt way. So sometimes I was covertly researching. So people didn't really know. I mean, I also did covert research in the police, for instance. So which was fascinating too. So they didn't know what I was really doing there, but I had full permission to work in, deep access. And this sex shop I knew exactly what I was doing. And they were totally behind me. And it's still in London. It's a very successful one. It's called Shush. And it's a women-only sex shop. And you have to ring the bell to get in. And men can only go in accompanied by a woman. So this creates a sanctuary culture. It creates a very different feeling there of openness and safety, actually. I'm not suggesting that men aren't safe, not at all. But the very fact that women can only take men in who they feel comfortable with in that kind of environment really massively changes the retail space. And so my funniest time was one of them, there are many actually, was when I picked the phone up and, oh, hello, Shush, how can I help you? Which was, imagine I was a senior academic suddenly doing this kind of work. And what I didn't know about butt plug is nobody's business. I'm sure that I've transferred some of this knowledge over to working with very, very awkward alpha CEOs. But anyway, so I got this call and this guy said, my mistress would like to bring me in. I said, okay, that's lovely. How would you like to, I was lost for words, basically. Okay. And he said, will you be open at 4? And I said, yes, I'm sure we can accommodate you. That'll be perfect. And he said, fabulous. That's great. My mistress says that I can come in. I was like, oh, good grief. What am I going to deal with? I was really quite gauche, actually. This was a very big education for me. And, sure enough, at 4 o'clock, the bell rung and I let them in. And there's this poor guy, or I'm sure he was having a fabulous time, on a lead, on his all fours, and with very little on. And what I've learned in that, apart from anything else, what I learned was to really be with any situation at all, wildly out of my comfort zone, massively beyond anything that I, had been exposed to. And I kept saying to myself, how as a country girl, I grew up in Devon, how as a country girl found herself doing this work just, because nobody else has. And I couldn't find anybody that basically really had the balls to do it. Just get up and work in these shops, which some of them were pretty awful, and I really didn't enjoy it. I also have a talent. I can clear a sex shop in seconds. All I have to do as a woman, I learned, where there was particularly the ones where it's very male dominated in terms of their customer base. Just walk in. I'm 5 foot, so obviously not that tall. Look at the tallest, highest magazine rack. Tap the guy beside me and say, I'm just wondering if you could just pass me that magazine there, would you? And within seconds, everybody's gone. So, and it was just really rather funny. The whole experience was, you asked me to tell you some details. So, clearly this isn't necessarily what I wrote about, but I had to contextualize my research project by telling people, well, here's some of the kind of methodological challenges and what I learned as a small, white, blonde female researcher researching sex shops.
Didn't I say at the top of this that I couldn't put you in a box? I couldn't pigeonhole you. This is why. You see? This is why.
Well, yeah. And the police research was equally, it didn't get as much attention, clearly, but it was as groundbreaking in terms of looking at the discrimination in the police service, a particular constabulary, and that one's up north. I won't mention it because that's unfair. But there was systematic discrimination against women in it. And in fact, I went in covertly with the chief constable, telling him that, his force was fabulous. And I'd done substantial research on this guy. I knew he loved opera. I knew, a lot about his, not family, but his because I actually had somebody very senior in the force that was able to gen me up on what you need to pitch to somebody who, obviously has deep cynicism about allowing some researcher in to even look at anything. And in fact, what I was doing was interviewing people about discrimination. It was a really important piece of work. So, but the sex shops was, it was a hoot. I have to say, the other thing that was a problem for me was that I got so desensitized to that environment that, over dinner parties, I would talk about things that, because it was my kind of part of my life. So I had to kind of tone that down a bit. It's a long time. I wasn't anticipating that we would share this today.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just thinking about those dinner parties. I bet you don't have to tone it down. I bet you can hear a pin drop when you're talking about things like that. It's interesting, that we'll go off on this because I've had people like James Ketchell, who's an adventurer, and often they talk about things that's happened in their life. James climbed Everest and things, and quite often those lessons learned kind of come back to business. So, for instance, another example of James, he rode the Atlantic and he broke it down into days. And when he got over halfway, he knew he was on the home straight. And with Everest, it was trying to get to base camp and then trying to get the next place and the next place and breaking it down to stages and projects. So I'm sure you've learned in that environment lots of things that have helped you. What about the confidence from your point of view and the leadership? I bet you feel like you can walk in anywhere now and be strong within yourself.
That's right. Actually, you're absolutely right. I think that period of my life was so personally challenging. When you're a covert researcher in that kind of environment, you have to smash through lots of boundaries, lots of get on with people from many, many different walks of life, and actually find gravitas within yourself. So that has stood me in huge stead. It's wonderful. And sometime later, I did a madcap thing of finding myself I mean, truly crazily finding myself on a crack world team going to the pole. And I have to say, I hadn't anticipated ever even being on a team. And I think the sex shop research showed me about being unstoppable, not invincible. There's a massive difference. But really that nothing is impossible. Once you decide to do it, then, and you keep going, then you can do anything. So I'm a great believer in that. Yeah.
That was the exact message that we've had from James and also other adventurers we've had on. It's just keep going, just do it. And that was a nice segue because you mentioned Unstoppable. Now you've got a new project coming out, Unstoppable Mothers.
Yes, yes, I do. Yeah,
Can you remember what I said to you about this? When you say Unstoppable Mothers, you've got to say it with a bit pizzazz.
Oh, you mean I've got to say Unstoppable Mothers? Yes. That kind of thing. God, yeah.
That's the one. So you are unstoppable. You are indeed a mother of 10. So I want to hear all about this. Where's this come from?
Unstoppable Mothers. Well, I was under the ridiculous idea that I could pass as normal when I had 7 children. Not many people knew I had any children. I don't particularly have. I've no idea what I mean by this. I'm told I don't have the energy of somebody that's got children. I'm presuming what they mean is that I should be haggard, and not got loads of energy. Well, I do. I was blessed with a lot of energy and a lot of focus. So, but when I had 7, I kind of, I think it's sad, but I think I concentrated on my consultancy, like, let's not tell him I've got children. Let's keep it quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when I had the triplets 4 years ago, I suddenly realized the universe was actually telling me something quite big, which is, I mean, if triplets don't stop you in your tracks, then I'm not sure what would, because they're a really big job. A massive undertaking. And through that experience of the surgeries, their prematurity, all of that, I had time. I was back at work within 5 months, actually, but I did have time, many hours in the night whilst feeding them, to consider that my strongest purpose is having a voice around unstoppability, and particularly what I call mother stopper culture. So when we become a mother, kind of, this is massive cultural narratives about we've got to stop who we are, we've got to set ourselves aside, we've got to compromise, sacrifice, shelve, put ourselves on hold, whatever you call it, something about these women who suddenly have children, who choose to have children, that we have to choose between children and ourselves, or children and our careers. And I just think that's a load of bullshit. I really do. And so I call those mother stoppers. It's a kind of polite version of something else, but it's mother stoppers. And so I'm on a mission to celebrate women who are diversely actually navigating career and children, and to teach women the skills of unstoppability, because you're definitely going to hit up against these mother stoppers. And what are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, okay then, I just won't do what I fancied in life. Or you're going to equip yourself with the skills that actually, will mean that you can live a massive life, a huge, bonanza of a life. And means that you triumph, rather than one day looking back saying, what a shame, I gave a lot of myself up for those kids. Not a good thing. So.
No, I love that. I was just sort of drawn in there. I was just dreaming away, because I love your energy. This is your call, and you are so motivating in this space. Mm. And you're right, you don't want to get to, the autumn of your years and look back and think, oh, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. So I think your message is to go out and actually do it. So what is your platform, Danusha, to get this out there?
Well, we've got an online platform launching in August. pretty softly. There's no big, razzmatazz about it. It's just it's all ready. It's all built. I've interviewed about, I think, 36 rocking women and all different kinds of mothers, from mothers who've had their children adopted, trans mum, paraplegic mum, Claire Lomas, awesome woman, just awesome. Like, they're ordinary women. They're not the big corporate names. I know them. I'm often up there keynote speaking with those women, like Helena or Nicola Horlick, us women with a tribe of kids and careers. But I'm wanting to unearth, and have been unearthing, women across the world who can showcase, this is how we're doing our lives. There isn't one way. So that's one thing I'm doing. And then I'm launching No Parent Left Behind charter, because it's not really just about mothers. I happen to be starting with mothers. It's actually about, particularly in corporates, in organizations, it's actually about anybody with caring responsibilities. And I don't want any parent left behind in terms of their career, in terms of their well-being. And not enough is out there at the moment, I don't think, on this. So we'll be doing some organizational consulting, so marrying my consulting with Unstoppable Mothers. We lose such talent every year because women don't think it's compatible. They think it's irreconcilable. I think I can just about say that word, but they basically don't think it's possible to have career and children. We need some big cultural changes to make that happen, like childcare. I mean, it's not affordable in this country. I mean, I nearly have to sell my kidney just to, sell one of my kidneys just to send my children to, nursery. You can imagine with triplets, it's been enormous. So I want it's a campaigning, social impact, but a business and practical. I want it to reach many, many, many women, like thousands and thousands of women, to realise that it is possible. So it's not going to be high ticket at all, and that's the business model's been very interesting to create. So, and a podcast. You're an absolute inspiration. I've been listening to your podcasts and your interviews and thinking, if that guy can do it, so can I. So yeah.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, you can indeed. If anyone can do it, it's you. So thinking about those 36 interviews that you did, how have you done that? Is that going to be a book, Tanisha, or is that going to go onto the website?
Well, in my infinite wisdom, which I realised wasn't quite so clever, I cooked up a model where we'd have a chat, then I'd send them questions, then they wrote the answers. So actually I've got 36 really deep written interviews, and they're beautiful. They'll go onto the platform. They're going into the blog. We're uploading those gradually. And I was really committed to asking them questions that nobody else asked them, because quite a few of them are women that, are kind of women that the press want to talk to. And they're pretty sick of answering the same old crappy questions, And so I've dug in places that you normally wouldn't go. And that's probably why I ended up in sex shops, because I'll go and my consulting, I'll turn, I'll leave no stone unturned. And that's where we get what we get. So I did that in the interviews. So they're written. The book Unstoppable is my actual book Unstoppable is coming out next year. And I've just actually come back from Greece for a week writing. And yeah, that was, it's great. It's a big challenge. It's a challenge writing a book with a tribe of kids. I'm single, I don't have an army of staff. It's a challenge. I'm living the reality. I'm not married to an investment banker with millions in the bank, or anything like that. I'm not living that kind of life. I am at the coalface where the readers of this book are also, so I've got small children, I've got older children. I'm living the whole gamut, really. So it's very heartfelt. And I have to find practical solutions just like these other mothers do. So,
yeah, and I think that's why they're going to relate as well. You know, those interviews that you did, I guess those are really valuable because it's helped shape what the business is going to look like. So all that valuable information you've gained from those mothers, you're like, right, I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to give them a platform, some information, place to share and relate. So
yes.
I bet that's gold dust to you.
It is, and one of the most valuable things about Unstoppable Mothers, or the values behind it, is about catapulting other women, propelling other women forward. Yeah. And as I say, we're starting with mothers, we're having conversations. Just actually, while we're here, how do you fancy being a man ambassador for Unstoppable Mothers? Because I know you're a devoted father, so how do you fancy that? Because we're just signing them up. Would you be one?
Well, that sounds amazing, and I love the term. Definitely do. And do you know what term I like as well? No parent left behind. I love that. So, and that's men and women,
of course. Yeah? Yes, it's parents. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. It sounds amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you. Oh, great.
And you know what? Like what I'm like as well in terms of getting women on this podcast. And I know you've touched upon this before about getting women in business to get their voice heard and not being too male-centric. Is that a right term for it? Because I do, and I'm really mindful of getting women to say, come on, get on the podcast, let's have your voice heard, we need you out there. So, and I'm really pleased on what you're doing, and it's going to help, and hopefully thousands, as you say. So are you looking for world domination on this one? Are you going to push it right out?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm currently working with a group on a program, and we reach from Nigeria, Kenya, the States, Switzerland. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yes, not a UK based thing. No.
Yeah. So you're gonna be spreading yourself quite thin, I think, in this in the early days, getting this off.
Yeah.
The ground.
Well, one of the beauties of this is my consulting business for so long has been, around me, and that's okay. And I have had a team of associates, and I still do, but it's really been about me. And that Unstoppable Mothers is not about me. It's not the Danusha show. I'm not interested in it being about me, my life, and I. Yeah, that's really very boring, other than, people do like to hear now and again bits of it. But it's actually about all these millions of mothers. And for that, I've needed to build a team. And so I already have a wonderful team around me. I have a filmmaker. I was in a film earlier this year on for Channel 5 and on women. I mean, I'm slightly shying away from telling you the truth about what it was called. It was a film on extraordinary women, and I'm kind of cringing to say that. But and there were lots of other women. But the director really was so taken with Unstoppable Mothers that he's in the business now. So he's doing work with us. And for us, which is absolutely amazing. I've got a social media intern. I have a business manager. So it's growing. It's going to be quite big.
Thinking about this, you're going to be motivating mothers. Who motivates you, Danusha, in your world? Because you've got energy. You're laughing. You've got energy, but you need it as well. Who are you soaking things up from?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I really love it. How do I nourish myself? Like who inspires me? Like I take inspiration from, or I glean inspiration from very, very disparate places.
So we've heard.
Yeah, exactly. You're just a cheeky devil, you are. Listen, do not imagine me skulking around in alleys, okay? In a raincoat. That's not me. I'm in high heels in a suit in the city. Thank you. I'm not sure. I don't really have one person. I'll be honest. I really don't.
Okay.
I don't. I think it would be old. If there was anybody, it would be old feminists And by old, what I mean is the Mary Wollstonecraft era, like the true, like, pioneering first wave feminists. And I still read, I read that kind of book. I told you, it's hard to take the academic out. My brain is a model building little machine. So it's that. So yeah, I would. And I don't read crappy magazines or anything like that. I'm not I don't fill my time with drama or like superficial story. I think I'm really interested in deep experience of people in people's lives.
We need to wrap this up, but I think we could probably do another 2 or 3 episodes because you skirted over loads of stuff that I want to drill into. But I think the message we want to get out today is the unstoppable mothers. I love that. So when can we see this really kicking off?
It's going to be kicking off in the next few days, in fact. Yeah, I mean, it's,
right.
We're launching it like next week. So stop by. I mean, it's just the beginning. We'd love you involved. Thrilled you're going to be a man ambassador. That's really wonderful. And love to hear people's thoughts. Yeah, love to get in touch.
I'm sure you will. Do you know, I've just said, yes, I'll do it. God knows what you've got in store for me, Mrs.
You'll love it. You'll love it. Yes, it'll be a triumph.
Well, I'm going to put some links in the show notes because I know that some listeners will want to know all about you. Just throw it out there. What's going to be the website? Is it Unstoppable?
It's unstoppablemothers.com.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat. Is there anything else you need to leave us with anyway?
No, this has been a riot.
It has indeed, and I didn't think we'd talk about sex shops for 15 minutes of a half-hour episode, but that's why I need you back. So, Danusha, thank you so much for your time, my friend, and we'll speak
Thanks so much, Ian. Take care.
That was Danusha Melina Durbin, and didn't I tell you that I couldn't label her? An academic who's an expert in sex shops with an amazing business brain and one hell of an unstoppable mother. I hope you enjoyed that. I find Danusha really inspiring, really motivating, and I can't wait to watch unstoppablemothers.com unfold. In the coming weeks, we'll see some action there. I'm stoked. I'm a man ambassador. And when we stop recording, I did ask Danusha what that entails, and it sounds great, and I'm love to be a part of it. So thanks for that, Danusha. Let me know if you enjoyed that. host@industryangel.com. I look forward to your thoughts. Hopefully see you on the presentation training I mentioned at the top of the show. So until next time, I'm Ian Farrer. This is the Industry Angel, and thanks for listening.